depending on who the audience is, what exactly are you writing it for, what is the purpose of the article. But traditionally, an article is a piece of non-fiction writing, okay, something which is based on facts. So then we discussed about what the aims of an article are. So one is to inform readers about a specific information, give them facts about that information or about that very specific topic that you've chosen to write about, and to present it in an objective tone. That means that your personal biases and your opinions cannot be a part of the tonality of the article. It has to come from facts, from data, from evidence. So then we looked at what are the different components which are part of an article. The first thing is it has a heading and a subheading, which gives the audience a quick understanding of what exactly they are about to read. Then there's the introduction of the topic, which gives the readers a chance to understand exactly what the specific topic is, just in a few lines or say a paragraph or two. It introduces the subject or the topic that you're going to talk about. Then you have to talk about the problem. You're defining what the problem is. And then if you're talking about the problem, then naturally you will come into the solution bit of it, that what are the different kinds of solutions. And then comes the conclusion, where whatever evidence and data we've collected so far, what is it that should be the next step, or ideally how should we go ahead with this. So then what we did was we broke down an existing article, and I will not get into too much details about it, but basically we were just trying to understand how an article was broken down into the heading, what was the introduction, then the problem was defined, wherein all sides of the story were talked about, not just one particular side. So remember, since articles are written from an objective point of view, you have to keep in mind that all parts of the story, or all parts of the problem, the different people or the different stakeholders who are involved in that entire situation are being talked about. And therefore even the solutions are also looked at from that angle, where you're looking and exploring different people and their roles. So it could go from government, it could go from NGOs, so on and so forth. So in this particular article, what the writer has done is that they have gone out and they have interviewed people and talked to people on about food waste crisis, and they're trying to understand what is going on. So they have used, this is called primary data, primary research, where you're going to collect data on your own. You're creating a questionnaire and you're collecting data on your own. That's called primary data. And secondary data or secondary research is what you use from newspapers, from articles, from other researchers, other academicians, and things like that. So this entire article is consists of primary research as well as secondary research, where the writer has tried to also use graphs and data to make it easier for the readers to engage with what exactly the problem is and what are the different kinds of solutions that are available. The writer also gave in information on what people can do on a personal individual level, as well as what is the responsibility of all the other stakeholders or players who are a part of this entire system. And then they concluded in one paragraph where they talk about everybody's accountability and role in reducing this food waste crisis in Scotland. And at the very end, they provide references of all the secondary research that they did. So all the data that they collected, everything that they were talking about, where have they got it from? These references were added right at the end, so that the reader knows where the data has been taken from. And also, as a writer, you have the responsibility of acknowledging other people's work. So when you pick up data and use it in your writing, it's very important to provide references at the end. So this is what they have done. So we broke this down to really understand what exactly consists of an article, within an article, what are the different components. And then we try to break down what are the fundamental differences between writing an article and writing an essay, because often there is a chance that we will confuse between the two. So the fundamental difference is that the main aim of an article is to inform a reader about a very certain and specific topic. An essay does not do that. It's a response to a question or a proposition or a cue. It could be autobiographical in nature. It can be fiction. Articles are not fiction. Okay, they are written on non-fiction. They are written in non-fiction style. Articles follow a heading and a subheading format, which essays do not. And articles are also accompanied by photographs and illustrations and graphs like you saw previously, whereas essays do not require any of those visual cues. And like I said earlier, articles contain an objective tone where your personal opinion is not a part of the narrative that you're trying to build through the article. Essays can contain a subjective tone. It can consist of your personal opinion and what you feel, but an article is supposed to have that objectivity. And since it has a journalistic approach, the idea is to communicate a message at the end of the day. So a message cannot be communicated without an objective tone to it. So your personal bias cannot be a part of it. Otherwise, it's not an article. All right. So after we discussed these differences, we talked about what are the different things that you need to do, how you choose your topic, what are the different ways that can help you decide on what kind of topic you want to choose. I won't get into this too much right now because we covered this at length in the earlier session on the first. But when we'll open up for Q&A, if people have any questions, again, they can ask and we can go in more depth at that point in time. So in case someone already has questions, please just write it down in the Q&A chat or write it down somewhere on a piece of paper. And when we open up for Q&A, we can go more deeper into these. So things to do when you're writing an article is how you choose your topic, how you make that decision, keeping in mind that you have to outline the structure of an article. Very, very important. You have to conduct your primary and secondary research. You have to, conduct a flow based on the components that I was just talking about earlier. And you have to save all the references and research that you do so that you can use it when you're writing it at the end, and where have you taken all your references from. And you have to provide crisp and meaningful headlines. They could be humorous, they could be poetic, but they have to be related to the topic that you have chosen. So it could be like, say, Once a Month, which clearly talks about sanitary waste. It also has a picture as a visual cue, or something as poetic as Shimmering Dust, which talks about, the air pollution caused by fireworks. Um, and you have to make sure that your writing is original. You should not copy paste sentences. You have to reword them, rework them, and you have to keep a check on your grammar and your sentence structure, because the idea is to keep your audience engaged at all points. So you have to not just make sure that your writing is grammatically correct, your sentence structures are checked thoroughly, but you also have to make sure that you're using sufficient data, correct data, sufficient data and evidence, and relevant images and graphs or illustrations to keep your article more engaging and much more interesting for the audience to be engaged in that piece of writing. So we then did a small quiz, which I'm not going to get into a lot because that was something that was part of the last session. And then I talked about how you can check your work and things like that. So what I wanted to do, what I actually wanted to understand from some of the participants, because we got a few entries and we got a few assignments which I had given in the last session, which was this, that you had to write a 1,000-word article on any of these following themes. So I just want to know a raise of hands, how people who have submitted, are you guys a part of this workshop? I just wanted to know that. So can the participants raise their hands? Okay, wonderful. We have the people who have submitted. Okay, great. So I will get into a more detailed sort of a discussion on it a little later. What I actually wanted to do is I had some observations that I wanted to talk about as I went through everybody's writing and everybody's articles. First things first, I think what we are not understanding is that when we look at data and when we try to write an article, we have to make sure that we reword our sentences and we don't just pick up things exactly the way they've been exactly written, because that means that that content has been plagiarized. Someone else has written it and you have just taken that sentence and made it your own. So even though that sentence makes sense the way it has been written, it's not fair to the original author because they have worked really hard to frame that sentence. So you have to put in that effort to write a new sentence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a mock article right now as we do this session, and I'm going to display how we could probably, how do we look at data, how can we reword it, rephrase it, and how do we add references to our work, because a lot of articles did not contain any references as part of their submissions, and that is very, very important, because I just didn't know where you got your data from. So adding references doesn't just mean adding links at the end, it also means showing exactly which part has been taken from some other source and which part is the data that you have collected, or which is the sentence that you have formed on your own. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show. So I just started this mock article. I'm going to do an article on waste segregation at home. This is what I want to talk about. Okay, and what I want to, so I've given it a fun sort of a title: waste, waste, go away, question mark. It's a rhetorical sort of a question. Someone had asked me last session if we could add a question to the title. We can. So I'm going to just start writing, and I'm going to talk as I write, and it's not going to be a 1,000-word article. I'm not going to go that long. That's going to take me some time as well. But what I want to show you is that when you do research also, even if it's online, how do you sort of take the data and how do you reference it while you're writing it? I just wanted to sort of show you. So I just started writing just a bit before the session started. So I thought I will write it as we do this session, so that you can get a sort of a mock understanding of how one can approach this whole process as well. Okay, so in that space also, when if you guys have any questions or anything, you can just sort of put it in the Q&A, and as soon as I'm done with this, it will take me 5-10 minutes only. So let's just get cracking with this, but keep a note of the questions that you have. Okay, so like I said, I feel like writing an article on waste segregation at home and how and what is the whole issue. So I'm just going to now free flow write in front of you as I take this session. So I started writing waste segregation, one of the most important aspects of waste management. This is what I understand from my research. Okay, so I write this as the first segment in the introduction. And now I want to, but I want to elevate this problem further. Like, why is waste segregation important? And what I'm going to do is, right. So then I started Googling why waste is important. I'm looking at different articles, and then I find this article about, say, the city of Delhi and what's going on. So then this is the first sort of line that, at a time when national capital is dealing under increasing load of solid waste. So no. Okay, this is something I'm not very sure of. Okay, I will keep this in mind. And then this is another article which talks about it. These are all newspaper articles. Okay, this is what we call secondary research. So I'm going to look at what, if I can, okay, so here I found a data here, right here. Okay, for a city that produces more than 5,000 tons and sends it entirely. Okay, so it says that only segregation of waste into what is compostable and recyclable will help solve the problem, say experts, including. So this is a data that I like. This entire article is filled with data. So I'm seeing this. Okay, so 60% is wet waste and things like that. So what I want to do is I want to copy this. Okay, which is what we normally do. I want to take it back in my article, and I want to enter, and I will paste this. Okay, and I know the link, so I'm going to copy the link here. I'm going to copy this, and I'm just going to paste the link here, right here. Okay, now I cannot take this sentence verbatim. Verbatim means exactly how it has been written, because it is a newspaper article, it has been written by someone else. Now, but if I want to talk about this data, how can I write it in this sense? Okay, waste segregation in New Delhi, or rather I can say city of New Delhi produces more than. Now here I have to use the data verbatim. So what I'll do is I will use double inverted commas to provide credit that this is not an original sentence that I have written. Okay, 5,000 tons of garbage a day, out of which uh, um, not only beaches, its landfills, but also is online in the various dumpsters around the city unsegregated. Okay, now this is a sentence I have formed very loosely right now just for the sake of this session. Now, since I have given these double inverted commas, I can add a reference here. What I can do is I can just sort of write one here, or there are, like insert references or a footnote, something called a footnote. So we add a footnote here. One is sort of created right here, as we can see. And the link that we have, we copy that link and we put it at the footnote. So the reference is saved here, right here. And if you see right here, a small one is created, right? So that means that if someone has to know where you've got exactly this data from, you can show them this. So it's easy for them to know and it's easy for you to keep track of how you can or where you've got your data from. Now, if I use exactly this sentence, it's not my article. So I have to constantly reword how I'm writing and keep the essence of what I'm trying to write every time. So for example, now I don't need this. So I'm going to just remove this right here. And we're just going to move on to, say, another section of, if I want to understand why is it important. So I'm just going to read somewhere else. Okay, here is one article. Which I like. It says if waste is not separated properly, it all gets mixed up in landfills, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I like this sentence, or even in this one, according to Solidarity. Okay, so let me just go back here. I'm going to copy paste this again here, put it niche. Okay, I'm going to look at the article. I'm going to save that link just below that article. Okay, so that I know that this data I've got from this particular link. And then I'm just going to write another sentence here just for example and demonstration. Management is responsibility as per the I'm taking the data that I have gotten here. Okay, those who generate waste are responsible towards segregating it into 3 distinct categories: wet, dry, and hazardous. Okay, now here I may not have to do the double quotation, but again, I have copied something that is already a data point. Okay, so I'll do the footnote bit again. I'll go on insert, I'll do a footnote. See, another second one got created here. I will take this link and I will shift it right here. Okay, now if I want to say extend a sentence using the same data, because I like this line that we are supposed to hand it over, so I want to just include it as part of this sentence. So if I just relook it and hand it over in that manner to the authorized collectors. Okay, so I have used this data, I have reframed the sentence, but I'm still acknowledging that this is something I've got from somewhere else, right? And then I will remove this again. So what I'm basically trying to demonstrate is this is how you need to actually write your article, where you keep, even if you're taking and extracting data from other sources, you have to keep a check on from where you're taking what data point. If you're saying 5,000, where is it coming from? Where are you claiming these things from, right? What is it? So if someone wants to check, they can just go on that link and they can check it for themselves. Okay, so I just wanted to sort of show how one can do referencing and why is it important? Because a lot of articles, I did a little bit of plagiarism check, and I realized that a lot of articles have sentences that have been taken exactly the way they were written in other articles and copy pasted in your article. And I don't think that's a good healthy practice for you, because then you're just sort of using someone else's hard work in your work. And also in the future, it's not going to help you when you get into writing work, no matter which kind of writing you're doing, whether you're writing in school, whether you're writing for projects, whether you're writing for newspapers, for articles, for other blog sites and things like that. I don't think that it's going to be of a lot of help if you copy paste your work. So this is what I wanted to sort of show, and I don't want to keep it just me talking. So I would want to open up to the Q&A session now. So I'll just stop sharing my screen, and we could get into a Q&A right now. So Arzu, Padvi, can you just help me out with the Q&A, please?
Swati, before we get into that, are you going to be able showing the some of the articles, or you're not going to show?
I don't think it's fair right now to show articles because we've only got a few submissions, but we do want to get into more sort of a one-on-one situation with the people who have submitted. So we'll talk a little bit more about that after the Q&A session. So people who've submitted the articles will get their feedback, but I don't think doing it right now in this session would be helpful because we have many people for whom this is the first session. So I don't want to just sort of talk about a few people's articles. If there are more submissions, there is more scope for peer-to-peer learning. So we can have a specific, just a feedback related session the next time, where we only have people who have submitted as part of the call. So we can do that later, and I can explain the logistics of that later as well. So people who have submitted, you will get your feedback, but yeah, we'll do it in a much more one-on-one sort of a way, so that you have a more detailed feedback from my end and your friends and other people who are part of this. So,
yeah. There is a question from Unnati, which is not necessarily to do with article writing, but it is to do with the way your presentation looked. So she says, can you please tell which software or website you use for the presentation? It looks attractive, and is it free?
Yeah, I use something called Canva. It's a free website. You can make presentations on it. It has a lot of templates, and you can use that to make attractive presentations as well. But I think, like everything, the key to a good presentation is also to making sure that your structure is also intact, so you know what kind of why you're creating a presentation and how you can make it more attractive. So Canva, CANVA, is what I use to make the presentations attractive. So yeah. Any other questions? We only have like 3 questions, or 2 questions actually. I
think they're not related to the article writing really. So they're asking if there is a session afterwards, and some of them were asking whether they can submit the articles later.
Okay.
So
okay. So what I think then what we'll do is I'll just give like a minute for more people to just talk about. Okay, wait. Okay, could you talk about how you would structure the waste segregation article? Sure, I can talk about that. I think the first thing, so I have decided to again go very specific in terms of waste segregation just at home. So I think that is the first thing, that from a much larger topic, I'm going to come to a very small sort of a situation where I want to understand how waste segregation at home happens and how it contributes to the larger waste disposal issues. So what I will first do is I will look for data and research, and my introduction will open with saying how much waste is there and what kind of waste is available. What kind of waste and what is the nature of that waste, and what are the implications on the environment and on people's health of that sort of a situation. And once that data has been highlighted, and that will also trickle into the problem, where I would want to sort of look at what are the different roles played by each person. So when I say each person, it means what what role do I play as an individual citizen? What role does the municipality play? What roles do the government collector, the waste collectors play? What role does the government and its policies? What roles do they play? I would also want to add how we also look at packaging. What is the kind of problems we have when it comes to packaging and the way we consume? So then, keeping that in mind, I might just go and sort of investigate in my own house how whether I'm able to segregate, what are the problems that I am facing, and talk about those, and then look at the solution bit and how can I solve. So what are the different things that are happening in the city or in the country or in the state or in the world where individuals are taking it upon themselves to segregate waste. So I would talk about that after it, and then sort of end it saying that there are ways in which an individual can also do proper segregation of waste, and how an individual can also probably talk to municipality to make sure that segregation is also happening at their level. So probably I will conclude it to that. So this is just something I'm asking from the top of my head, but yeah, this is more or less the structure of how I would probably approach it. So
the next question is, now we're getting some questions.
Great.
Yeah, I wanted to ask this in last class, but couldn't. Sometimes it happens that when we write, it feels interesting for us, but for the reader, it may not be. So how do we keep readers engaged?
That's a good question. I think the first thing to understand is that when you write something, you should go to people like your friends, like your teachers, like your parents, probably, or anybody that you think would be interested to read what you've written. Ask them for a genuine feedback. Ask them what they understood from it, what they liked, what they did not like, what are the ways in which you can improve. I think their feedback would really help you sort of understand, okay, so these are the different things that people are not liking in the way I'm writing. This is where I need to improve. And I think it's all about practice, to be honest. And once you understand who your audience is, and you learn how to sort of tailor your sentences in that way, it helps. Yeah, but I think one advice that I can probably give you for sure is refraining from using too many adjectives when you're writing. If you explain things way too much, see, you should never assume that your audience doesn't is not smart. Your audience is always smarter than you are. So you're informing something to them, you're giving them data, and you're adding to their knowledge base. So if you take that assumption, you don't have to explain too much why it's happening. You don't need to use too many adjectives, and definitely not give your personal opinion as you're writing it. So keeping all of these things in mind, and consistent feedback and reworks are a good way to sort of work on understanding how your audience can remain engaged. So, and yeah, if you also ensure that you are working on the structure bit of your article, I think that can also help you understand what are the things that you need to improve on when you're writing. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Swati, can I add to what you said?
Yeah, sure.
My sense also is, people get interested if they find relevance in what is being written.
Yes.
So when we are writing, say, if you're writing, say, for depending on who you're writing it for or where is it going to be published, that might be a way in which to decide on the tonality or in the way you use information or data or what you write. So I think that also would be a part of the decision making, no? In terms of how do you
obviously,
write?
knowing who your audience is. Yeah, knowing who your audience is, whom are you writing it for, really makes it a very big decision point on how you decide to write your articles. So yeah, your audience plays a very big role. When we say audience, we mean who is reading your
readers.
work. Yeah, your readers, yes.
So next question is, can a poem or non-fiction be article?
No, because then it's a poem. The style of, so a poem is a different style of writing, right? So it cannot be an article. An article is a different style of writing. So there are two different things. So a poem cannot be an article and an article cannot be a poem. So You can write poems on nonfiction, but if you have to write an article, you have to write it like an article is written. So, yeah.
So there's another one is, where did that go? Arzu? You're right.
Okay, someone just said if people give us negative feedback, what does that mean? People, you have to focus on what the feedback is. Where are they asking you to work? What are the points? You should dig deeper. Okay, what about this particular sentence did you not like? What do you think should happen instead? Where do you think, what did you understand? What did you not understand? So I think any form of feedback should always be taken in the stride of improvement and wanting to improve further. So when people give you negative feedback, it doesn't mean anything. It just means that you need to work a little harder to make your writing better, to turn that negative feedback into positive feedback. That's it. So don't get disheartened if you get negative feedbacks. That's just part of the process. So.
I think there was one more question. Just a minute.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll read it out. If we are writing an article about an environmental problem, what kind of solution should we include in our article? Should we do our own research or use another article for information?
Both. That's the whole premise also, that you can do your own research, which is going and asking and talking to people, which would be your primary research, and also use information given in other articles, something that you just saw me do when I was trying to do that mock article, where I just used two different websites and I took up two informations and just sort of tried to write it in my own words, and then also give references for the same. But if I say had to add my own experience, then I would also use that as a way of providing an insight into what it could look like as a solution as well. So both would always be a great thing. There's no either or. It could be both, depending on what resources are available, depending on what topic you've chosen, and how you go about it and how you structure it.
Can we use quotes in our articles?
We can use quotes, but I would not recommend using quotes, because it again becomes a little poetic and philosophical in nature, and I think it takes away. So you can use quotes in essays, because you're also trying to build a story, you're trying to build a larger narrative of what you're doing here. An article is supposed to be very, very specific and very objective, so quotes are not something that I would recommend in an article. Your reader doesn't really have the time to really get into a larger thought, but they just want the data that you're trying to give them about this topic. They just want to know that information right away. So I would not suggest, and I've seen a lot of articles that were submitted with quotations in them as well. So I would recommend not writing quotes, because it doesn't give any sense of what the article is going to be about. It's again a very broad philosophical stance, which we don't need to get into when we're writing an article. So yeah.
Another one, will the article that you write be attractive if you use nice words?
Again, like I said, if you use words which don't make sense, even if they feel nice, will not do the job. I think what makes an article attractive is if, as a reader, I'm able to get what you've written, no matter how many nice words or big vocabulary you use. It's not going to make any sense to me, then it's the purpose of the article has been defeated, because the first aim of the article is to inform the readers about a specific topic. If, as a reader, I'm not getting the information, there is no point of the vocabulary. So very small advice would be, keep it simple. Always simplicity is the best thing that you can do. Keep it simple, keep it authentic to yourself. I don't think adding flowery language makes a difference to how you come across, because again, the purpose of the article is that the reader should get the information. So if they don't understand what you've written, the whole objective of writing the article has completely gone. So yeah, nice words you can use if it makes sense. Otherwise, simplicity is the best way to go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, anything else? Should we wait another minute for more questions probably?
I think some of these are repetitive questions. We've already answered this.
I'll just answer this question that has been written, ma'am. What happens if we don't use any resources which just came in? I just wanted to answer that question quickly. The reason that we use resources or data is because when we're trying to give information to the readers, we're also trying to tell them what is the intensity of the problem. What are we trying to do? So the data and the evidence just helps ground that entire problem much in a much better way, and it also allows us to look at things from different angles. So it doesn't sort of just it's because an article is not your opinion of what you saw and you just wrote about it. That's not an article. So an article needs to have enough data and evidence to tell the readers why they are supposed to be be understanding and getting that information as well. So it's important that an article has that sort of resources as part of it. Even small data points help, because that way you are trying to also say that this is important and we need our attention here, or this information is essential for you. You need to know this is happening. So yeah, that's why resources are important.
What if an article offends someone?
It will offend someone if you've added your personal opinion in it, which is why we try to keep it as objective as possible. However, having said that, I'm not going to say that it's not going to be offensive. People can take offense even to data and even to evidence. I think we just have to deal with it. That's just kind of like feedback. So I wouldn't really know how to sort of give you a one sort of an advice, but just that don't take it too hard. Like if you have used data and you've written it in an objective tone, you know that you're just doing something that is just providing information. So that's very important. So yeah, I think we are okay. We've taken in quite a few questions. Should we move on? Should we move ahead?
Yep.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is, as I was saying earlier, we had like about I think 8 to 9 submissions of articles, and we have about 65 people attending today, and we would want more submissions to come in. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend the assignment submission till Wednesday evening 6 p.m. So those who have submitted the articles today, I gave a little bit more sort of an insight into how you can write. So if you feel like you want to sort of rework on it and resubmit it to us, you can do that. And you can reshare it on the Google form that will be sent to you again to upload it by Wednesday 6 p.m. And then we will only reach out to people who have submitted their articles, and we will do a separate feedback session where each person will get a feedback, and we'll get some sort of notes or some sort of help and advice on how to make it better. So we will do this at the end of this week. So people who have already submitted, you have another chance to sort of rework and redo your work and send it to us. If you don't want to do it, that's also fine. If you're feeling that no, I think I've written a great article or a good article, it doesn't need any rework, you can leave it to that, or you can rework it and send it to the same link again. And those who want to submit article and want to submit it, we are going to extend the deadline till Wednesday 6 p.m. Okay, the form will be only open till that time. We will get a mail, you'll get a follow-up mail again today. So you can do that. I will just share my screen and show the assignment again, just for your reference. So this is what the assignment was. This is what we want. We want you to write a 1,000 word article on any of these following themes. These are very broad themes. We want you to get more specific, but we're helping you with this as a cue to sort of investigate further on what is the one thing you want to write about. Look at this as an exercise of working on your writing skills. So this is the assignment. So I'm just going to repeat it again. Till you have till Wednesday to submit your work to us. 6 p.m. Those who have submitted can also rework and resend it to us again. And we will only then get in touch with people who have submitted their work to us and have a separate one-on-one sort of a feedback evaluation session end of this week. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah, have I missed anything out? Arzu, Madhvi, anything I
I think you've covered.
Yeah, so we'll share the link. You will get a follow-up email again today, where the link of submitting the assignment would be shared. I would really suggest, if we only get digital copies of the art. What are the references that you have picked out? Where have you gotten your data from? I can check the plagiarism as well. Yeah, so I would just recommend if we could just get digital articles, not handwritten. I would prefer it if it's not handwritten, just easier for me to look into it. So
The
yeah,
link is shared by Arzu on the chat. Please look at the link, and she'll also be sending you a mail. And
yeah.
I think those who are younger, I mean 9-year-olds, also you could send your articles. There's no problem.
Yeah, no problem at all. So yeah, this is the assignment. Just keep a note of it, and you can choose one of any and just sort of very specific topic would be recommended. Yeah, I think that's about it. That's all we wanted to do today. Anything else we had planned and I've missed out on?
I just want to
be sure.
Yeah, just thought I'll give a little more detailing on the topics. So if we say wildlife conservation, it could be about any one, say one species of wildlife, or it could be a certain kind of, anything that you find interesting. So, or what are the kind of threats to wildlife, or it could be about something that you know that there is a conservation happening. So anything on those lines can be done. Also, waste garbage disposal. Of course, Swati talked about segregation. You could talk about, say, the issue of littering and behavior, how people behave, and what needs to be done. So there is a number of different things. You can even choose categories of waste. It could be like plastic waste, or it could be say waste which is produced at home and it can be composted. So there is different ways in which you can do it. So don't feel limited. Just explore and look at these topics and then decide which one, what you want, really feel strongly about. And of course, the climate crisis in terms of, it could be in terms of sea level rise, it could be about glacier melting, or it could be just about how the seasons are changing and what's happening with the rainfall, even those things. Or I mean, something that we do and that can lead to, say, the climate change. Depending on your age and what you have been exposed to so far, you can choose your topic from within these very broad topics. Okay, so hopefully I think we have made it clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one question. If it is too long, then will it attract more readers or will it remove readers? It depends, Abhishu, on the way you write it.
Yeah, just about to say that. Just about to say that. It will really depend on how you write it. How, even if it's short and you've not written it in a way which is engaging, then the audience will not read it. So say for example, in magazines like Down consists of articles which are really long, but they're very engaging because they're very well written and data driven. A lot of primary research is a part of that writing process. So, people do read longer articles as well. But yeah, it really depends on how you write it. So if you want to, I think one good thing would also be to go to, say, magazine websites like Down to Earth and read the kind of articles that they write. I think it's a good exercise to also keep reading what other people are writing, just to get a sense of what makes their writing more engaging, right? So it's also good to learn from other people. So you could also do that.
We have 2 hand raised from our audience. I would just like to promote them to panelists so that they can talk.
Sure.
Hi, Sia. You can speak now. Hi, Raj.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, Raj, please speak. You had raised your hand.
Ma'am, can we write articles article having more than 1,000 words? Means 1,000 words, ma'am.
Yeah, you can write more than 1,000 words, but I would recommend that for now, keep it to 1,000. Try to also work within the framework of just 1,000 words. So I think it's a good way also to see that can you convey your message even in the frame that you've been given, because not every time you will get the opportunity to write as much as you want. Sometimes a lot of people will restrict it, say you only have 300 words, convey your message. Okay, so
Yes.
I would recommend you keep it well under 1,000. Okay, don't I would suggest you not go beyond that. That is for
Yes.
everybody. Yeah.
Yes, okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, this is Harini. I also have
Hi.
a doubt on this assignment.
Sure.
Ma'am, should we only pick only these three things, or can we write on our own?
I would suggest that you go for this right now. I'll tell you why, because it will also allow you to do a lot of research and really understand how you can write about other topics or topics that are given to you, right? So I would suggest that you go with this. These are again very broad themes. So you can pick any small theme in this also. For example, the mock article that I just showed when I was taking the session was on waste and garbage disposal, but I looked at only waste segregation, that also just from an individual, like at home, what is the issue is what I was thinking of. And I'm like, I want to write an article on that. It's a very small topic, but like waste disposal gave me that idea. Yeah, go ahead.
And ma'am, should we only write on journals or books, or can we do it in online?
I want you to do it online. I would like it if you do it online, because then the references and the links that you use for your other research can be a part of it. So please, if you can do it online, I would really like it if I can get more online submissions.
Okay,
better that way. So
yeah. Okay, ma'am. Thank you for clearing my doubt.
Ma'am, I'm using PowerPoint for my presentation, ma'am. May I?
Okay, I mean, for presentations, yes, but for article writing, a Word document would be preferable.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, actually, I have already submitted my article on Saturday, so I just wanted to confirm, because in my article, I have molded all the words according to the research I got from the link. So should I still mention the link below from where I have got all the details and data, because I have molded everything into my own language?
Yes, you should, because that's like an acknowledgement to the work that other people have done. Yeah, so it will be nice if you can do the footnotes thing wherever you think are the data points and whatever the links are. You can just do the footnotes thing that I just showed right now. Okay, and you can just add
Okay,
it at the end. These are the references.
okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, and when is the due date, ma'am?
Wednesday, 6 p.m. That is day after
me, ma'am.
tomorrow, 6 p.m. Yes.
Ma'am, can we write less than 1,000 words?
Sure.
But ma'am, I had submitted already by writing in the hard copy. Should I write in again in soft copy?
I would recommend, if it's possible for you to write in the soft copy, please do it that way. So it's easier for me to, so when I will do the one-on-one session, I'll be able to also give you suggestions by providing you feedback on that itself. So it'll be easier for me to give you feedback. So if it's possible, please do convert it to an online thing, if it's possible.
Okay, ma'am, it is possible. I will do it.
Okay, thank you.
Sia was there, no? Sia. I think that's it.
Great, nice.
Yeah, we have budding article writers.
I'm really looking forward to the submissions now. I really hope we get more than what we received, so that we can have a much more detailed discussion with everybody else. Yeah, it'll be much more fun then.
Okay, I think Arzu, we've reached.
Okay, I think we're more or less done.
Yeah, so we have extended the deadline for the assignment submission till Wednesday 6 p.m. So you can submit your assignment till then, and we'll assess and get back to you. So like what improvement you can make for your further article writing. So thank you, Swati, for such an insightful session. We now are moving towards the end of our session. So on behalf of Center for Environment Education, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to Swati and all our participants who for attending this workshop. I'm sure our participants have learned a lot from the 2 days workshop on article writing. We'll keep the Google form open so that you can submit the form. And also I'll put the link in the chat box. It is already there. And we'll also share the link with email so you can easily access the Google form and submit the assignment. So thank you all for today's session, and we really look forward for more number of assignments. So this is from our side.
Yeah. Thank you so much for everybody. Thank you so much for coming, and I had a great time, and I look forward to reading more articles and a much nicer feedback session later on. So keep writing, and we'll keep in touch with you on what are the next steps. Okay, guys. So yeah, thank you for coming, and thank you, C, for having me. I had a great time.
And also the recording for both the sessions will be there on YouTube channel. So you can anytime go and look at the session, and if you have missed out anything, you can easily connect with the points. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.